Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the tutorial for transfer by personal representative to person entitled under a will or intestacy. The prior registration of personal representative as executor or administrator Form LRA 39 is a prerequisite for this transfer process. The transfer process by personal representative to a person entitled under a will or intestacy is the process of conveying rights of a property from the administrator of the property to the beneficiaries of the property named by will of the deceased owner or a court order. For starters, you will open your browser of choice and type ardhisasa.lands.go.ke. Click on Login, and once you land on the login page, key in your ArdhiSasa ID or national ID number as well as your password and then click Continue. Upon doing so, you will be provided with a one-time password code, OTP, which will be sent to the phone number you used to register with on the platform. Once you have received the OTP, type the code onto the OTP prompt box and click Login. You will then be navigated to the dashboard where you will find a number of services listed under the departments we have in the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning. The account you are logged in with is your private account. For you to initiate this process, you will need to switch to your advocate account. So go ahead and click on the profile icon. It will display a drop-down menu with the professional account which has been approved for you as an advocate. For more information on how to upgrade a professional account, check out our YouTube video through the link featured in the video description. On the landing page, navigate to the land registration section and click on Transfer. Here, you'll find various transfer services, and the transfer process we are applying for is the transfer by personal representative to persons entitled under a will or intestacy, LRA 42. So go ahead and click on it. You will be directed to the applications page. And here, there are a number of tabs provided. We have 5 tabs, namely Pending, Ongoing, Completed, Rejected, and Cancelled. All applications that you have initiated as an advocate will be listed among the tabs provided, depending on the level of processing of your application. For you to initiate this application, you will click on the New Application button on the top right-hand corner. Please note that if you have not switched roles, the New Application button will be unavailable. You will then be navigated to a page with the FAQs, which is the frequently asked questions specific to the transfer by personal representative to persons entitled under a will or intestacy. You can go ahead and explore the FAQ to get an understanding of this application. Take a look at who the actors are, what the requirements are, the payments and documents needed for this application. If satisfied, click on Next. The next section is the Proprietorship Details. Here, you'll first be required to fill in the parcel details. Go ahead and enter the parcel number in the format registry/block and then block number with no space in between / the parcel number. The registration of a personal representative as executor or administrator reference number field is not marked with an asterisk sign, meaning it is not mandatory to fill. However, if you have the reference number, proceed and key in the reference number. The next part is the transferor details, where you are required to enter the ArdhiSasa ID of the transferor, who in this case is the personal representative of the estate. Once you have entered the ArdhiSasa ID, click on Search. A pop-up box will appear requiring you to select the category of person to execute as the transferor. It can either be the transferor executing on his or her own behalf or an attorney executing on behalf of the transferor. If you choose the attorney option, you'll key in the power of attorney entry number in the format registry / the entry number / month of registration / year and click on Search. And the power of attorney entry number will be listed underneath the search bar along with his or her ArdhiSasa ID. If the ArdhiSasa ID does not feature, it means the attorney is not registered on ArdhiSasa, and thus you will be required to enter the ArdhiSasa ID of said attorney and then click on Save. You can also reach out to the customer care to confirm your power of attorney entry number. A ticket will be created for you and you will get a notification on your SMS as well as on your account confirming the correct power of attorney entry number. For the purpose of this tutorial, we will choose the Self option and then click on the Save button. Upon doing so, the name of the transferor will be listed below and the name of the person executing on behalf of the transferor will be listed on the right. A key thing to note is that if you wish to change the transferor you picked for one reason or another, you can click on the Remove button and you can then enter the correct ArdhiSasa ID of the transferor. You will then be required to select the ArdhiSasa registration status of the deceased proprietor. This is whether he or she was registered on the platform or not. If the deceased was registered on ArdhiSasa, select the first option where you will enter ArdhiSasa ID of the deceased and click on the search button, and the details of the deceased will be listed alongside the search bar. If the latter is true, you'll select the second option where you'll key in the name of the deceased person and then select the identification type. In our case, we will enter the ID number of the deceased. The next part is the transferee details, person entitled under the estate of the deceased. So proceed to enter the ArdhiSasa ID of the transferee and click on search. The details of the transferee will be listed on the right. If you wish to change the initial transferee, click on the remove button and enter the correct ArdhiSasa ID of the transferee. You can then go ahead and click on next. You will then move to the transfer details. As you can see, you're required to enter either the date for grant of will or the date for grant of letters of administration. This is because if the deceased had made a will, the court authority given is a grant of probate, and if the deceased did not make a will, the authority given by the court is the grant of letters of administration. In our case, the deceased had made a will, and so proceed to enter the date for grant of will. After you've entered the correct date for grant of will, proceed to enter the date for confirmation of will. The date for confirmation of will is issued to the holder of the grant after the expiration of a period of 6 months or shorter period, as the court might direct from the date of any grant of representation. The next phase is the pickup person details. This is the person to pick up the title after the transfer has taken place. So proceed to enter the ArdhiSasa ID of the individual, then click search, and the details of the person will be listed below. We then proceed to the law firm details, where you'll need to provide the details of the law firm that you are acting under. Here, you have the option of tying the application to a registered law firm on ArdhiSasa, where you'll be required to type in the ArdhiSasa ID of the law firm and click on search, and the law firm details will automatically be populated. However, in our case, you'll be manually keying in the law firm details. To begin with, enter the name of the law firm. Also provide the physical address of the law firm. Provide the postal address of the law firm. You'll enter the phone number of the law firm, and you'll also enter the email address of the law firm. As far as the website as well as the street address of the law firm are concerned, they are not mandatory fields to fill. However, you can provide the information required if applicable. Lastly is the additional provisions, where you'll add additional information or provisions that the transfer is subject to, if any. You can then go ahead and click on next. And you'll be navigated to the documents page, where you'll upload the required documents. As you can see, there are 2 documents to upload. These are the grant of will and the certificate of confirmation. As mentioned earlier, since we entered the date for grant of will, the document to upload shall be the grant of probate or grant of will. The confirmation of grant is issued by the court when an application made by the grantee after the grant of representation is issued. A confirmed grant empowers the executor or administrator to distribute the estate in accordance with the terms of either a will if the deceased died tested, or rules of intestacy if the deceased died intestate. The application is made 6 months after the grant or such shorter period as the person holding the grant may suitably determine. A key thing to note is that the document should be in either the format .pdf, .png, or .jpeg. So go ahead and click on the Choose File button to upload a scanned certified copy of the grant of will from your local machine or device, and the document will be listed against the Choose File button. You will then upload a scanned copy of the confirmation of grant, and the document will be listed against the Choose File button. If you have any additional documents which you feel will support this process, you have the option of providing those documents on the Additional Documents link. If you are satisfied with the documents you have submitted to facilitate the application process, you can proceed and click on Next. The last step is the confirmation step with all the details that you have provided. So scroll through the entire page and go through the details. If satisfied, you can go ahead and click on Submit. You also have the option of going back if you need to edit any information. For this case, we will proceed and click on Submit. Upon doing so, you will be prompted to approve on whether you indeed want to submit the request, and then proceed and click on Yes. You will then get a confirmation message on a pop-up box which affirms that the application has been submitted successfully, and then proceed and click on Close. At this point, the transferor and the transferee will all get a notification on SMS as well as on email communicating that the transfer process has been initiated. Subsequently, the advocate will also be notified to execute on the application with a signature and also confirm representation of some or all of the parties listed. A key thing to note is that you can view the progress level of your application on the progress bar, as is featured on the upper section of your screen upon submission of your application. As featured in the FAQ section, one of the requirements needed to facilitate this application process to fruition is the stamp duty payment. An invoice is generated when the application is created successfully and is visible to all parties in the application. The payment can be made by any of the parties. As such, you'll navigate to the invoice section, click on the Pay button, and you'll be provided with the available methods for payment, as well as the procedures to be used. Once the payment is made, you will click on the Confirm button, as is featured on the bottom left-hand corner. As mentioned earlier, the advocate was notified to confirm the application to represent the party listed. Therefore, the next thing is the application verification, which is for the advocate to accept or reject representation for the parties involved. So go ahead on the execution section and click on Accept. Upon doing so, you'll be prompted to approve on whether you want to represent the party, so proceed and click on Accept. And the party involved will be notified that the advocate has accepted to represent him or her in the transfer process. The last part is the Add Signature section, where he or she will be required to append their signature. There are a number of options on how to append your signature. To begin with, there is this signing area here, as you can see, which allows you to sign with your computer mouse if you're using a desktop or a laptop, and alternatively with a stylus pen or your index finger if you're using a phone or tablet to access the platform. You also have the option of signing with another device. When you click on this option, a pop-up box will appear displaying 4 alternative options for signing. For more information on the available signing options on ArdhiSasa, kindly view our YouTube tutorial explaining the same through the link featured in the video description. In this case, the advocate will sign on the signing area. He or she will place the cursor on the blank space, press and hold the left click button, and then go ahead and append the signature. If satisfied, he or she can click on Save. However, if not pleased with it, there is the option of removing it by clicking on Clear and then appending the signature once again to their liking. If satisfied with it, he or she will click on Save. There is a pop-up notification that will appear requiring you to affirm that you want to submit this as your signature. Click on Yes, and the signature status will change to Signed. It is key to note that the advocate must be in communication with the party involved throughout the verification process for ease of operations. The application verification section shows the parties involved haven't verified the application. As such, once the transferor has logged in, he or she will navigate to the notification bell on the top right-hand corner of the screen and check for the notification prompting him or her to verify the application. An OTP prompt box will be displayed with a Get OTP button alongside it. It is important to note that below the OTP prompt box is a disclaimer for the party involved. It instructs him or her to only enter the OTP code if he or she authorizes the application made on his or her behalf by the advocate involved in the process. The parties involved can also change the advocate if they wish so. So if the individual is aware of the process and approves it, he or she will then click on the Get OTP button and an OTP code will be sent to the phone number that he or she used during registration. After receiving the OTP code, the individual will then key in the exact code received on the OTP prompt box and click on the Verify button. Upon doing so, a pop-up box will appear affirming that the OTP has been successfully verified, so he or she will go ahead and click on Close. Below the OTP verification section is the Add Signature section, where he or she will be required to append the signature. So proceed to append your signature, and if satisfied, click on Save and affirm your signature by clicking Yes. And in doing so, the transferor, who is the personal representative of the estate of the deceased, has completed the application by consenting to the application. The remaining party that hasn't verified the application is the transferee. The navigation process to verify the application is the same as that of the transferor, as shown earlier. Therefore, if the individual is aware of the process and approves it, he or she will then click on the Get OTP button, and an OTP code will be sent to the phone number that he or she used during registration. After receiving the OTP code, the individual will then key in the exact code received on the OTP prompt box and click on the Verify button. Lastly is the Add Signature section, where the individual will be required to append their signature. So proceed to append your signature and affirm your signature. and by doing so, the transferee, who is the beneficiary, has completed the application by consenting to the application. In drawing things to a close, the remaining part is to surrender the current title. So once the advocate has logged in, a ticket and an invite will have automatically been created by the system in order to enable you to surrender the title. So go ahead and navigate to the My Appointments tab on the left panel of your screen. You'll see an invite that has been created. Click on View and you will be able to book the appointment on the calendar to your right. Select on the date and time that you'd like to surrender the title and then click on Submit. A pop-up will appear requiring you to confirm whether you want to set the appointment and then click on Yes. The invitation will then transition to the Upcoming Appointments tab. Click on the View button and you will be able to generate a gate pass which will present at the gate when going to surrender the title. You also have the option of rescheduling. If the date you previously selected is not convenient to you, you can choose the new date and time, then click Reschedule. For more information on ticketing and appointments in general, click on the featured link in the video description to view our tutorial on it. Once all the parties have signed and the original title has been surrendered, the Submit Request button will be active. Go ahead and click on it. You'll get a confirmation message, Application submitted successfully. The application will then progress to the Land Registration Department for processing, and after approval, you will be issued with a new title that reflects the change made as per the beneficiaries or persons entitled under a will. Both the advocate and the parties involved will get a notification on the SMS that the transfer application has been submitted successfully to the ministry. Once your application has been fully approved by the ministry, all parties involved will be notified that the transfer process has been approved. That's it for this tutorial on the transfer by personal representative to a person entitled under a will or intestacy on ArdhiSasa. Feel free to give feedback on this tutorial in the comment section below. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell button to get notifications on new videos as and when we post them. Thanks for watching and goodbye.